Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
I like that. You know, we within our company, we have core values, four of them. It's be honest, have fun, make money, and work together. And there was a time in our and in my business that I was saying, hey, you know, we've got all this stuff going, you know, and I was telling my operations manager and these other admin, hey, I'll handle it all. You guys just focus on what you're doing. And they called me out saying, hey, that's not working together. That's not, you know. So I'm like, oh wow, like they're starting to understand this culture, and this is good, you know. So I like that. I like when people kind of call you on the culture that you're creating.
Absolutely.
Live by, you know. So show your fruits.
Hold you accountable to it. That's right.
Cool. What's the biggest frustration in your business right now?
The biggest frustration in our business is, I think that there's a lot of unknowns right now. You know, we're in a weird thing where there are people whose jobs have not been significantly impacted by the pandemic, and they just keep doing their work. Maybe it's a modified kind of work. Maybe it's a work from home. Maybe there's some but there's also people out there that have completely lost their jobs, and they don't have the ability to continue paying their mortgage or paying their rent or, you know, getting their bills paid. And so I worry about that divide growing. I worry about the gap there. You know, when you look at the way that the Federal Reserve is handling this, we're pumping a lot of money into our economy. We're pumping a lot of money into markets, and we're putting rates at the floor. I mean, basement floor rates, and with no sign of raising in the next couple of years at least. Well, that narrows the margins for credit unions and banks to be able to lend out and remain liquid and remain secure, you know. And so that's a big challenge, a big frustration right now, because it's the unknown. You know, sometimes I feel like when people start talking about, you know, politics, I'm not very good at politics. I'm not very good at having much of an opinion on that kind of stuff. I just know how it affects what we try to do and what we can provide and give. So I think that those are the things that are my biggest concerns and my biggest frustrations.
That's interesting. I think everyone out there is worried right now, one way or the other, with what's going to be happening, who's taking the leadership of the country, you know, whatever way you lean politically, when this is not a political podcast, you know, but that I can see that uncertainty affecting your world for sure. So that's tough.
Well, it's so funny too, right? I mean, the way we lean politically really comes down to we're all the same. We all lean politically in a way that we think is right according to us, and impacts our life, and impacts the lives of people around us, and impacts our children, and impacts our values, you know. And so if we all agree that that's what we believe politically, we can easily debate back and forth about how to approach some of those things. But right now you just see, like, I mean, it's just like we got protests, we got storming the Capitol building. We have such a polarized thing. And it's like, no, I think the things that bind us are stronger than the things that separate us. And I'm talking to the community spirit of we as this local Idahoans, you know, we can be in it for each other. Let's go to local places. Let's shop at local. Let's eat at local places. Let's help each other out. You know, there are people that are in those situations. So we're in. I hate to sound like a billboard, but we're in it together, man. You know.
I like that a lot, and that's the thing too. You know, I've traveled throughout this pandemic to a few different cities, and man, how thankful I am to be in Pocatello, because people are just nice here. You know, people are just Southeast Idaho. People just care about each other. You go to these other big cities, you know, if someone sees you just taking off your mask to wipe your face off, you're getting the middle finger.
That's
And
right.
there's just there's no camaraderie, there's no love. And I think that's the biggest thing that's harming our country right now, is the lack of love for people. So
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Yeah. Defaulting, I learned this a couple of years ago, and I've been trying to really integrate it into my actual personality and who I am. But like, I used to, I'd hear bad news or I'd hear good news. I'd hear someone express an opinion, and my default setting might have been judgment. And I'm trying to learn to be better at defaulting to love that person, love the situation, and try to help. If it's good news, celebrate good news with them. If it's tough news, try to help them work through that tough news, rather than just like what you said. You took your mask down to, scratch your nose or whatever it might be. And it's like all hell breaks loose.
yeah,
Or you don't want to put a mask on, and so someone's coming after you, and it's like all hell breaks loose. Or you see someone who's not wearing a mask and you feel like they should be wearing a mask, and all hell breaks loose. And it's just like, okay, let's default to love. That person probably has something going on.
yeah,
Let's leave them, let's leave them be and just let them do their thing.
yeah, exactly. We don't know people's situations for sure. So I like it. Well, this is the Pocatello Business Podcast. What would be the best advice you would give our audience based on your experience in business?
I would say, for businesses, start with, there's ways, I think that business owners, people who work for business owners, people who are trying to get better in the business world, maybe they want to start their own business, maybe they want to manage a company. A lot of times we think, okay, the way to make more money is to start with raising our prices and or selling more of our products or services. But really it's backwards. I mean, if you can take some time to start with your fixed costs, go down and look at your fixed costs. And if there's ways to shave those just a little bit, every dollar that you shave is a dollar to dollar value back to your bottom line. And then the next step would be look at those variables. What does it cost you what does it cost you to sell each unit or, service or whatever it is you're selling? What are your margins? What's the cost to you there? And see if you can trim that down a little bit, because it's these little things of trimming down cost that will result in a lot better income than just, all right, we got to just hit the streets and sell more of our product. Or if it's not bringing in enough money for us to cover our expenses, we got to raise our prices. Well, fine, do those things, but start with the costs. Start with looking at how can I be more efficient and how can I save more money.
I like that. That's in my business. Our cost of goods sold is our labor and our supplies, and that's kind of what it is. You really can't change that. But if I'm looking at stuff hard and I need to make some cuts, that overhead section is there I'm just gonna hack that up like a samurai. So that's
right.
That's true. Like I think a lot of businesses out there, I don't think they have a very good number one, a good handle on their books. A lot of small businesses. And I think that's one thing that you just alluded to, that know your numbers. And we've said that a lot on this podcast. Know your freaking numbers. So,
yeah. And that's so true. Well, and that's just it, right? So someone who is a small business owner in our area, they are a small business owner mainly because they're really, really good and passionate and love the business that they're running.
Yeah.
Maybe they own a running shoe store. Maybe they do dance lessons. Maybe they do some shipping, whatever it might be. But that's where their passion lies. Their passion does not lie in being their own personal chief financial officer or accountant or business manager. And so it's okay. Gosh, I have a buddy down south, down Salt Lake, who's a business owner, and he feels like by virtue of being a business owner, he doesn't need help because he understands every aspect of the business, and he doesn't understand every aspect of run the business. He just understands how passionate he is about the business that he runs. There's a difference.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's true. I heard a good analogy about all this too, the financial things. He says, because I think sometimes people lean on their accountants too much for like business advice. But really, they what someone told me just this last month, that accountant is really like going in a car ride, and accountant's in the back seat looking at the rear view mirror or the back window, saying, "Okay, that's what happened. This is what's this is where I'm going to categorize things. That's what's happened in the past." The CFO is sitting in the front seat, looking and projecting, and saying, "Hey, this is what we need to be watching out for. This and this," and that's what you need. So as you're a small business, you gotta if you number one, if you can't afford a CFO, you got to be your own CFO and take that responsibility on yourself. And but yeah, I like that for sure. So
or work with your local credit union or regional bank. They have people who will help you be. I mean, they're not going to be your CFO, but they're definitely going to fill in for a few minutes as the CFO. The temp CFO type of thing. That's what business lenders are here for.
That's very cool. Okay, well let's get on here as well. We go entering into the lightning round, but before we enter into the lightning round and close this thing off, I've got to say that we are sponsored by the Dell's Outdoor Advertising. We did a billboard with them a couple months ago for a couple months over there on 4th and Clark, over by your guys' office. They are real good at helping you out, and if you sign up for a 3 months rental, they'll give you your first month for free or your installation for free. So call Rob at 232-6886 and he'll get you signed up if you mention the Pocatello Business Podcast. So Doug, back to you. What is the biggest actually start with this one. What's the best book / tool or software that you've been using or you've been impressed with lately, and why?
Oh man, that's going to be a tough one for me. I have a tendency to really pour through books. I like business books and self-help books, but also like classics, because I think that you can kind of understand the human condition a little bit better by reading, beautiful literature. The book that I read recently, The Infinite Game, by Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek, he wrote Start With Why. He's really good about creating within each person the value proposition for why they do what they do, why they spend so much of their total life, working, being in another place at another business, working and trying to make money. Well, find out why you do that. And yeah, The Infinite Game is a really good book that's been sticking with me a lot lately.
Perfect. I like it. We may have alluded to this already, but what's one of the biggest myths business owners need to know about just out there that you think about business?
Oh man, I can get in trouble for saying this one, but I do think it's the biggest myth, which is trying to show that you make no money for tax purposes will shoot you in the foot in the long run. Have a more long-term strategic view of your business and pay your taxes. And then with the money that you're showing that you actually are making, put that to use to build your business, rather than trying to save, a couple bucks here and there on your tax bill. Just pay your taxes, and then you got more money to show for, borrowing it, leveraging that income or that revenue so that you can expand your business and grow it. I know that's an unpopular thing because we all say, "Oh, I can deduct everything and I can show that I make no money." Well, if you show that you don't make no money, how are you gonna grow your business if you don't make any money?
Yeah. Or how are you going to sell your business later on?
Or how are you going to sell your business if you don't have returns showing any kind of revenue or any kind of profitability? It's like, well, okay, then what's the value of your business?
Exactly. I always say it's the difference between owning a business and owning your job.
Yeah, nice. Well said.
So that's true. I have friends that own businesses. You're like, they're constantly, bragging about, oh yeah, we're not claiming anything. Well, great. Hopefully you don't need a loan anytime in the future or anything to help you go forward. So
hopefully you got a lot of cash on hand to just sort of expand your empire, or else it's just going to be doing the same thing and you're going to be making the same, zero amount on,
Yeah. It's funny. It's so funny because later on in life, you're not going to want to do this for your entire life. You want to be able to sell and have an exit strategy for your business. But if you're constantly claiming 0, 0, 0, you can't just say, hey, business person who's going to buy my business, this meant this, and this, this shouldn't have been there. Like they don't care about your excuses. They want to know what the bottom line is. So
they do not care about those excuses. It's like, well, what does it say here? Here's what you made. So
seriously, yeah. I like it. Okay, what is one question I should have asked but I didn't?
Oh man, I use that question in job interviews, so you're kind of throwing it at me.
There you go.
One question that you should have asked that you didn't. Oh man, that's so lame that I don't have like creative thinking going on here to.
It's okay. I caught you off the cuff.
I guess maybe where do you see? I kind of was expecting you to ask me where I see the financial institution world going. Sure. There's pressure from things like cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin to decentralize money. I kind of go back and forth on that because there is, I think, extreme value in having an institution that, we're still talking about ones and zeros. We're still talking about digital store of wealth, store of value. But I think it's nice to have something that is a little harder to hack. And I think it's also really valuable to have something that is insured by the federal government and is available to you. And I'm not speaking ill of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I think that there's values there as well. But those are the biggest challenges for my industry because it creates consolidation in my industry, and through consolidation, we end up with big monopolies that are just these, when we refer to the big banks, we're talking about 4 banks basically that, are headquartered out of New York City and are, basically are dictated by the stock market. And I think that there's a real value in local, community, regional, I know that person type of banking.
I like that. There's power in those relationships for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Doug, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to sit with this, our lowly podcast here and enjoy an episode with us.
Yeah, this was way fun. I appreciate you letting me come on here, Spencer. This is great. I think that what you're doing is very valuable to our area, to our community.
Perfect.
Well, and beyond. It sounds like it's going to be going beyond. That's great too.
Yeah, well, we make some changes here in the next month for sure. So, well, I appreciate it, and best of luck for you and your credit union this future. And we definitely want to have you on again in the next 6 months or so for you if you have us. So,
I am at your disposal. I'd love to. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Perfect.
All right.
Again, thanks, and everyone else listening, you guys have a great week, and we'll chat with you later.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.